All right, we are on to our first presenter, seeking his qualified speaker. As he is a new, by the way, we'll get to brag a little bit, new Division E Founders District Governor. So he's going to have a yoke of responsibility on his shoulders over the next year. Kevin is internationally recognized as an advanced speaker and a leader who regularly speaks before audiences from 20 to 2,000. He is a business owner, financial professional, and certified success coach who teaches how to be more, do more, and have more in life. With the recent openness in the area of mental awareness, more and more individuals are discovering they are not alone when they doubt their skills, talents, or accomplishments. May also have a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. Today, Kevin will be discussing this syndrome in his speech. Will the real imposter please stand up? Will the real imposters please stand up? Kevin Moniz.
Before I begin, in case you don't have me pinned, go ahead and pin me as a speaker. It'll be for your viewing pleasure, and let's get started. As a society, we love to categorize people. We compartmentalize individuals. We have different systems of personality tests. We have different communication styles, leadership styles. I'm sure you've heard of the DISC system, the bank system, the lion, beaver, otter, retriever system. There's also the horoscope, the Eastern zodiac and the Western zodiac. And even here at Toastmasters, we have different styles of communication, different styles of leadership. But in my observation, I like to focus on communication. And through my observation, I've determined that there are 5 what I call categories of communicators. And that's what I'll start with today, because I'll start off with talking about the most common category of communicators. That is the invisible. Those invisible make up the majority of the population, probably 90 to 95%. Why don't you know them? Why don't you see them or hear from them? Because they're invisible. They choose not to be heard. They choose not to be seen. They really have no message to share with the world. In fact, the only time you ever do hear from this group is when they put on their cloak. They take down their cloak of invisibility and spew some vile hatred, hiding behind the anonymity of the internet. Thankfully, here at this group, no one falls into this category, because I can tell that everyone here has some sort of message to share with the world. The next group is the ignorant group. You know these people because they have fancy titles that they stand behind: the CIO, the CEO, the EIO, and they have nothing important, nothing valuable to share with the world, but they do have themselves, and they think that they are all that. Frequently, you'll hear them introduce themselves with, "Hi, my name is Kevin." And you would think that someone who is teaching a group on communication would at least be able to say that name, their own person's name, without sticking in filler words. But this group has a lot to learn, but chooses not to learn it because a title stands in their way. Do we see these people at Toastmasters? Occasionally you will. They hide behind that DTM credential. Not everyone, but there are some out there. You will see them in the future. The next group that I want to share with you is the impressive category. This group has a message, and they're communicating that message. They know the basics of communication. They can speak articulately and clearly. They know who their audience is, and they want to share that message. You see this group, this category of impressive speakers here at Toastmasters, especially at the Speakers Bureau. You will also see them delivering TED Talks, and you will see them at larger conventions because they know they have a message that is worth sharing. They have an audience. Are they perfect? Not yet, but they are getting there, and they know it. They know that by delivering that message, by practicing over and over again, they can move over to the last category, the influential category. When you hear this category of communicators, you think of these big names, such as Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, Les Brown. But are there others out there? Really quickly, if someone wants to turn on their mic, unmute themselves, yell out some names of influential speakers that you know of.
Eric Thomas.
Someone Thomas? Anyone else?
Simon Sinek.
Well, what you'll realize when it comes to these influential speakers are, yes, there are these big names such as Tony Robbins, but there are countless more who don't have a name yet. And here in this group, I can see someone who I know has a passion for writing, who loves books, who is in fact starting a Toastmasters club focused on writers. I know that she has an audience and there are people that want to see her and hear her. So when you think of these influential speakers, don't just think of the big names. Look in the mirror sometimes, because I am convinced that each one of you is influential because you have the right message. You know who your audience is. I just don't know if it's the right time for you right now, but I am convinced that each one of you can be an influential speaker. And there's one thing that always comes up. I'm just not ready, because what about if people don't agree with my message? And whenever I hear that, I think of this young millennial who always has words of wisdom. Her words, advice, the player's gonna play, and the hater's gonna hate. So no matter what you are saying, you will have haters out there. No matter what you do, you will have haters out there. An old woman went to the streets of Calcutta and picked babies up off the street and shared a message of love and hope. And yet there were people out there hating on Mother Teresa that she's not doing enough. I don't know what more she could have done, but she did plenty, and there are haters out there for her. Some of you out here, the more observant, notice that I left out one category. It's right in the middle, the imposter category. When it comes to this category, the name is somewhat negative. You hear the word imposter and you think, oh, he's a sham, he's a fraud, he's a fake. But when we're talking about this category of communicators who suffer from what's known as the imposter syndrome, these are typically high-performing individuals, those who have done something, who have earned the right to speak, to share a message. But it's more of a mental game. Something inside them tells them, I'm just not enough. I can't do what I'm doing because I just don't deserve to be here. I don't deserve to be on the stage. I don't deserve to be talking to this group. I'm just not good enough. So what if you are suffering from this? Let's look at some other people who suffered from it. There's our old friend who we heard from a little while ago, Albert Einstein, who said the exaggerated esteem in which my life work is held makes me very ill at ease. I feel compelled to think of myself as an involuntary swindler. Someone who expounded a doolally theory that light bends with gravity, who discovered the relationship between energy and light, and who is known as one of the greatest physicists of all time in the 20th century. Albert Einstein himself suffered from this syndrome known as the imposter syndrome. Maya Angelou, poet, speaker, author, who wrote 11 books, said, I have written 11 books, but each time I think, uh-oh, they're going to find out now. I've run a game on everybody and they're going to find me out. Even she suffered. And Mike Myers, comedian, actor, writer, he himself said, I still believe that at any time the no talent police will come and arrest me. And we say, imposter, baby. So then the question is, what do you do if you are suffering from the imposter syndrome? And remember, it's not a bad thing. 80% of the population is believed to suffer from the imposter syndrome at one time or another. Well, I can tell you with certainty that most people who talk about the imposter syndrome always come up with these trite, quaint, useless pieces of advice. Oh, it's all in your head. Yeah, we know it is. It's in our head, but that doesn't help the situation. Or just get over it. Well, we wanted to just get over it. Doesn't it take some time and effort and hard work? And yes, it does. Or maybe it's just a phase you're going through. And as an expert in the imposter syndrome, I can tell you that it is a phase, but it will be a lifetime phase unless you do something about it. So then what do you do about it? What is the solution? To begin with, there is no solution that someone can give you in a 5 to 7 minute speech or in a 20-minute TED talk or in any one-day seminar on the imposter syndrome. It takes a while, but I will give you some tips and tricks so that if you are suffering, if you are one of the majority of the population, you will at least know about it and know what to do. So we're going to start off with one of the things that you can do, and that is to know the signs. What are these signs? Feeling lucky. You've accomplished a lot, you've done a lot, you've seen a lot, and you've shared a lot. But do you deserve everything that you have accomplished? And I would say yes. Students, after they have their PhD, sometimes think, oh, maybe I didn't deserve to get into this school. I just got lucky. And while there is certainly a luck factor involved in everything that occurs, it's not the main reason. Each one of us has done something worth sharing with others, and our personal efforts are worth far more than mere luck. So don't feel that what you have accomplished is just because of luck. Then there's accepting praise. Oh, well, it wasn't really that good. You know, it was more of the team that helped out. Maybe you should praise them, and I'll just stand back and sit on the sidelines and let everyone else get the credit when you clearly deserve praise for what you have done, for what you have helped others to do, and for all that you say and do. You deserve praise, and you need to start accepting that praise. And if you can't accept that praise, that is a great indication that maybe you are suffering from the imposter syndrome. And apologizing excessively. Oh, I'm so sorry. No, it's okay to apologize when you've done something wrong. But there are many individuals who have done absolutely nothing wrong, and you will hear an apology and you start wondering, what are you apologizing for? You've done nothing wrong. And these individuals, they tend to apologize repeatedly throughout the day, even though they have done nothing wrong. So if you are someone who apologizes excessively, you know that when you speak, you hear the words or come out of your mouth, and you make a mental note. In the same way, if you hear, oh, I'm sorry, oh, please forgive me for that. If you hear that come out of your mouth excessively, this could be you that I'm addressing directly. So we looked at the different signs about feeling lucky, about apologizing excessively, about accepting praise, but there's other signs also, such as being paralyzed with fear, feeling unworthy, setting unrealistic standards for yourself, or hiding your confidence. And that's all for a future talk because we need to move on. So we looked at knowing the signs. What else can you do? Delay perfection. Perfection sometimes is the enemy of good enough. How good are you? Are you good enough to speak on whatever topic that you are passionate about? There's a famous saying, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And I know that each one of us here have something that you are passionate about, that you know more than others. Maybe you don't know everything that there is to know, but you know enough, you know more than others, and they want to hear your message. How much should you know? When I think about that question, I like to think back at my software development days. We needed to get some great, fabulous products out into the marketplace. And whenever something is being developed, the developers always think, oh, it's got to be perfect. It has to be 100% bug-free. It needs to perform exactly as expected. But there's a phrase that came up in the life cycle of software development, and that is MVP. And it's not most valuable player. When it comes to software, it means minimum viable product. So what is a minimum viable product? Let's use an example of a car. As a speaker, as a leader, you want to be that Ferrari. You want to be at the top of your game. But you don't have to start there. It's a journey where you can get there eventually. Even when you look at a Ferrari, at some point, it was nothing but pieces of metal, nuts, bolts, plastic, and rubber that were put together over time. At some point, it became a usable car. Think of this. If you're a very nice car, you are ready. You don't need to be absolutely perfect. You just need to be good enough. You need to be that one-eyed person in the land of the blind to share your message. A very nice car is perfect to get you started, and you have to start in order to perfect yourself. You don't have to be perfect to start, but you have to start in order to be perfect. And sure, as you progress, starting with your minimal viable product, you can eventually become the Ferrari. You can be a world-class speaker, a world-class leader. You can be more, do more, and have more. But it all is a journey that takes time. And the third thing I want to say, if you are suffering from the imposter syndrome, and this sounds counterintuitive to a message that we heard growing up in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, when McGruff the crime dog would tell us, just say no, where Dare would teach the kids, just say no, where Officer Friendly would say, don't do drugs, just say no. I'm here to tell you, just say yes. Say yes to opportunities. Say yes to being a district leader. Say yes to giving a speech. In fact, when this came up, oh, well, we have an opening at the Speakers Bureau for a qualified speaker. I don't think I'm ready. Maybe we can skip July. Maybe I can do it in August or September. Maybe then I'll be ready. But then that wouldn't be saying yes. So my answer is, yes, I'll do it. And I'll fall back on the words of Richard Branson. Richard Branson, who said, if someone offers you an amazing opportunity and you are not sure you can do it, say yes, then learn how to do it later. So always say yes to those opportunities. No matter how difficult it may seem, there's always others who can help you. There's always others who will pull you through. Say yes to any amazing opportunity. If you have an opportunity to speak to a group, I don't care how big that group is. If you have an opportunity to speak at a district event, a division event, or even an area event, say yes. So we looked at all these different steps, knowing the signs, delaying perfection, and saying yes. But in addition, there's a large number of additional steps. Understanding fear, finding a coach, being kind to yourself, fighting feelings of negativity, tracking your success, and understanding that you are not alone when it comes to the imposter syndrome. Once you know all of these steps, that's when you can start working to improve yourself and overcome the imposter syndrome. And I don't have time today to talk about all of these. These will be for a future speech. I will leave you with the words of J.K. Rowling, who said, some failure in life is inevitable. It is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, in which case you fail by default. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.